Hello, welcome, Cabbage here. So this will be part 2 of my crash course in Japanese mobile game Shutdowns. In the previous video, which I will link to below, I made a lot of specific references to other games. But this video will be kind of more general. We will just talk about what Shutdowns look like overall. And then we'll kind of drill down, and then we'll talk specifically about Nier Reincarnation, and I'll give my predictions for how that could play out. But first, I wanted to say I appreciate the comments on the previous video. Some useful insight on games that I am not familiar with is in there, along with some thoughts on both the in-game economy that we face as players and the real economy that the developers face with their games. These are interesting topics directly related to these videos, but in the case of Nier Reincarnation, I don't think they're super relevant because I always got the impression that the developers were never interested in turning a profit on this game. I might talk about this and other topics in a future video, maybe part 3 of this series. But whereas the previous video was about the why of Shutdowns, here let's talk about the how of Shutdowns. There are mostly 2 ways Shutdowns are announced, before the fact and after the fact. There is a third way where the shutdown is announced at release. This is for the games that have a planned lifespan, like I talked about in the previous video, but that doesn't apply to Nier Reincarnation, so we'll skip that. Before the fact is like 1 to 6 months before shutdown. The developers put out a message saying, "Hey everyone, we are planning on terminating service at this date. Thank you for playing." Then maybe they will lay out the remaining events and stuff. Maybe they will talk about future projects or related projects available now. After the fact is the game enters maintenance one day, and then when maintenance lifts, we open the app and boom, we get a message there saying, "Sorry, game is shut down, thanks for playing, bye." I hear some people talking about refunds. Come on, do you pay to go to a concert and then get your money back because the concert ended? Do you pay to take a trip to France and then get your money back because you aren't in France anymore? It's the same principle. These games are services where we pay for access, not physical products. It can be culture shock inducing coming from console games. But just like with travel and concerts, afterwards we have our memories and the friends that we made along the way. It is up to the individual to determine if the asking price for those experiences is worth it to them, except there is also a free-to-play option. It's kind of mind-boggling to me that people would want a refund after choosing to spend on a game they were aware could have been played for free. But anyway, how do the last few months of a game announced to shut down typically play out? Here there is a spectrum with 2 extremes: a slow trudge to a gurgling death, or an explosive celebratory bang of an end. The former is like new unit releases slow or even stop, new event releases slow or even stop, developer communication just disappears, bugs become more numerous and are not fixed. This is the developers lowering the amount of effort put in, maybe directing resources to other games or projects. The latter, the explosive celebratory bang of an end, is the developers putting more work into the game. They speed up the event schedule, they speed up the release schedule, they ramp up the handouts, they try to jam in everything in that limited time remaining. So what do I expect for Nier Reincarnation? I expect the celebratory end based on how these developers have taken care of their users, not just in Reincarnation, but in Nier games overall. And we'll talk about a number of aspects of the shutdown, including the timing of shutdown, event releases, banner releases, ramping up of handouts, the story, developer communication, and the future post-Reincarnation. As for the timing, I expect them to announce the shutdown ahead of time by at least 6 weeks. I've said this before, but developers care about the story more than anything else, so they will announce shutdown ahead of time in order to spread the word, to get as many people as they can to experience the story, and 6 weeks should be enough for most players to experience most of the game. Some things like Dark Memory or Recollections of Dusk stories will not be available to newer players, but they'll get the most important content. As for events, I hope, not necessarily expect, that they will dump all of the limited time events and just make them available all the way until the last day. Like all of the 3-star handout units, they have limited stories attached to them, so this will give a chance to everyone to experience those. And then make all of the towers available, make all of the challenge quests available, and then permanent campaigns for stamina half and drop rates up. As for new banner releases, this is trickier. First of all, are there even any more new releases coming? And second of all, who would pull in a game about to shut down? What they might do is hand out the base unit to everyone, and the people who want to awaken them can use gems to pull more. Or more generously, they might give out free pulls until we can all reach the ceiling and do the shard exchange. I doubt they would just release the banners as usual without some kind of additional help, but who knows? This is always one of the biggest question marks. I also expect them to ramp up the handouts, but I can't really guess by how much. They might just hand out enough Zenith Brilliance to everyone so that we can all see all of the Dark Memory stories. I don't think giving everyone all of the Dark Memory costumes and weapons would upset the game balance too much, and it would make certain PvE, especially subjugations, more approachable. There are two things I do not expect them to dump a ton of, however: gems and character upgrade stuff. With a ton of gems, people can and have done tricky stuff with real-world consequences, and developers much prefer just directly giving pulls rather than the currency to do pulls. With character leveling stuff like slabs or antlers or level cap breaks or awakening stones, I wonder if it would hurt PvP too much if suddenly everyone was on equal footing with all of that. It would kind of negate a lot of the effort and investment the more hardcore players put in previously. Ideally, PvP would remain competitive and fun to the end for the people that are really invested in it. I think more likely than handing out a bunch of gems or awakening stones is handing out a bunch of free pulls. Monster Strike Global, when it was close to shutdown, did one free 10 shot every day, and all 10 pulls were the equivalent of purples, so that would be more chances at pulling dupes, which would translate to awakening stones. I can see that happening. For the story, I expect resolutions. The telling of it may be compressed or truncated because of time or money constraints, but I expect a resolution. I expect explanations of what is the cage, what is its purpose, what are the roles and fates of Fio, Lavanya, Hina, and Yuzuki, and what is the game's place in the greater Nier universe. And there might be a teaser trailer for a future game or project at the end. For developer communication, at the very least, I hope for a final livestream to say goodbye and thanks. The Japanese are very big on looking back and reflecting, and this development team in particular really relishes and stretches out in live streams, and I think it would be a good way to send off the game together, developers and users together. As for the timing, what I am guessing is the shift forward of the 2.5 anniversary banner to 2nd anniversary is pessimistically a sign that the game is ending at around or before 2.5 anniversary, and that there will be no new banner around shutdown. Optimistically, however, the move up of the 2.5 anniversary banner means we will get some kind of new series earlier, and that we have a lot more life left in the game. I think from now, outside of a direct announcement from the developers, the biggest hints at the health of the game will come from looking at the pace of releases. Too slow, and we know that they are redirecting resources to other places. Too fast, and we will know that they are trying to cram everything in a short time. But the same old pace of releases as before is the best sign that we can hope for. If we go like 3 months and there's no change in the pace of release, then I will feel more confident not only about 2.5 anniversary, but 3rd anniversary. Finally, what about the post-reincarnation world? I think we all hope for a console version or console continuation of the world with these characters. There was no announcement about a new Nier game at the anniversary event last year. Maybe it was because they were working on a console reincarnation game? I would put a 20% chance at that happening, however. Not high, but it's not nothing either. But like, I look at the assets of the character and weapon models in Reincarnation, the detail and variety in the movement animations, and I've always felt that they were too good for mobile, and I have to wonder if they overdid them to use them for a future console release to sort of do the work of development ahead of time in a different game. I mean, they added teeth to each character for Pete's sake. That's a lot of work to put into an asset to stop using it, like less than a year later. This might sound silly, but the added feature of being able to see inside characters' mouths gave me more hope for the future of the game than a lot of the other stuff added. But like, if they released a console game with the exact models and animations from the Reincarnation mobile game, would anyone complain? But I also wonder if there are no more Nier games, or at least none from the original team, since Yoko Taro and producer Saito have said that they are a little done with Nier. It's possible that Reincarnation is the vessel through which Yoko Taro and producer Saito will pass the torch of the Nier universe to a new generation of creators. Yoko Taro was very sure to point out that he didn't write the arcs for the Sun and the Moon and the upcoming Man in the World. He only gave his approval to what the team had written. So that'll do it for this video. That's how mobile game shutdowns typically go, and those are my guesses for how and when Reincarnation will go. I always err on the pessimistic side because I don't want to raise expectations, only to have people disappointed later. But the great thing about being wrong here is that we get more of the game, so I hope I'm wrong. Okay, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again. Take care.